Hello everyone, I'm Shilpa B. So let us go for module 2 in file structure today. So here we are going to study something about the organization of files for performance and indexing. So today let us go for the first topic of second module, that is data compression. So what exactly is data compression? Data compression, it is a way to make bigger files into smaller files. So here we are looking at some ways to make files smaller. So what is the need of data compression? If you go for bigger files, what will happen is when you are dealing with bigger file, the file will be using more space and it will have high cost, and obviously in order to access the file it will consume time and it cannot be transmitted easily, so it cannot be transmitted faster. So in order to reduce all these things, in order to avoid all these drawbacks, we are going to go for a method called as data compression, which is going to make your bigger files into smaller files. So when you are dealing with smaller file, it will use less storage and it will save the cost. So, and it can be transmitted faster, decreasing the access time obviously, and it is going to give you same access time with the lower and cheaper bandwidth and can be processed very faster. So all these are the benefits of smaller file. The smaller file can be done by using data compression. So data compression, it involves encoding the information in a file in such a way as to take up less space. So we have several different methods of data compression. So the first method we have is redundancy reduction. Using a different notation, we are going to reduce the file. So we call this method as redundancy reduction. We usually use it in our normal day-to-day life. So for example, when you have a large file to be emailed to someone, so what we are going to do is, or if you have lots of small files with you and its capacity is capacity is more than that whatever you can send. Okay, so when that happens, what we are going to do is we are going to make our file smaller by zipping all these together into one single file, right? Obviously if you are noted or not, I don't know. So when we are dealing with lots of smaller files which will be having more capacity, then what we are going to do is we will zip it, or we call it as we will rar it into one single file, and then we are going to send it. By that time its size will be reduced. When we are going to do that, we will not have any data loss. So one thing we need to keep it in our mind in data compression technique. Whenever we are using any data compression technique, our data should not be lost. Okay, so we have to get whatever we want to have, all those things needs to be there, but non data should be eliminated, or extra data should be eliminated. We should not lose our data whatever we need. So when we are going for zip file or rar file, we are going to compress it bit by bit, and whenever the other person receiving it, he will not lose any data. All the data whatever you want to send, that will be there in the file. So that is one of the compression technique we have. And the second compression technique is run length encoding, or here what we are going to do is we are going to suppress the repeating sequences. Whenever you are having a large image file, then it will be having its own pixel values, right? So what we are going to do is whichever pixel value is getting repeated, that we are going to suppress using some special run length code indicator. Okay, so we have an algorithm for this. The first step of algorithm is you need to read through each pixel that makes up the image, and you are going to copy the pixel values to the file in sequence except where the same pixel value occurs more than once in succession. So when we are having a value which occurs more than once in succession, you are going to do the following three things. What we are going to do is you are going to substitute the special run length code indicator, the pixel value that is repeated, and the number of times that value is getting repeated. You can do it for up to 256 times. Okay, let us go for a small example that will clear all these algorithm. So here, how would we encode the following sequence of hexadecimal byte values? Now you can see the different values over here, which are the pixel, which we can assume that it is pixel values of a particular image. Okay, so now how we can write, how we can encode using run length code indicate run length encoding technique. So here I told you we need, if the value is repeating, we need to use the three special substitutes. One is run length code indicator, pixel value, and number of times that value is repeated, right? So here you can see the first value we have is 22. So I will write 22 as it is because there is no repetition. Then we have 23 without any repetition, so I will write it as it is. Then we have 24, which has been repeated these many times. So how many times 24 has been repeated? 7 times. So what I am going to do is I will place a special run length code indicator. You can use any symbols or any characters. So here I am going to use F as special code indicator, and then comes the pixel value which is repeating. So 24 is repeating, right? And then comes how many times it got repeated? 7 times. So I will write it as 7. Fine. So these 7 spaces got reduced to 3 different spaces, where the first thing you need to write is run length code indicator, and then comes the pixel value which is repeating, then comes number of times the value is repeating. Number of times the value gets repeated. Now comes 25, which is not repeating, so I will write it as it is. Then comes 26, which repeats 6 times, so I will write the special code indicator F, then 26, then how many times? 0, 6 times. 6 times it is getting repeated. Again comes 25, but it is not in a succession, so I can write it as it is. Only once it is not getting repeated. So next comes 24, as it is I am going to write. So this is, once again, you had 6 spaces over here that got reduced to 3. So this is how you are going to reduce the size of the particular pixel values. The next method you have is assigning variable length codes, or I can call it as Morse code. Okay, so here what exactly we are going to do is, we are using variable length codes that are another form of redundancy reduction, and there are many encoding schemes which use Morse code. So one of that encoding scheme is Huffman code. So Huffman code, it determines the probabilities of each value occurring in a data set. Then it builds a binary tree in which the search path for each value represents the code for that value. So let us go for an example for Huffman coding and how we can construct the Huffman tree. Okay, so these are the steps to build the Huffman tree. So let us take an example. So here we have different characters A to F, and we have frequencies. Frequency is nothing but how many times that character gets repeated. So here we have character A which is repeating 5 times, then you have character B which is repeating 9 times, and so on, right? So the first step of Huffman code is nothing but you are going to if the frequency is not in the ascending order, you are going to sort it in the ascending order. So the first step of Huffman code is nothing but sorting the things in the ascending order. Now in this example, this is already sorted according to the frequency, so it is in the ascending order. So let us just eliminate this step, and we can go to the next particular step. In the second step, what we are going to do is we will go for the first two characters. So I will take the first two characters as A and B, where A is having the frequency 5 and B is having frequency 9. So now what I am going to do is I will just connect these two into one single parent, and the parent I am going to take it as inner node. So inner node with the frequency which is the addition of these two children. Okay, so now you add these two, so you are going to get 14 as the parent node. Frequency of parent node will be 14. So now what I am going to do is 14, instead of these two I am going to eliminate. These two I have already used, so I am going to take these 4 along with the inner node. So inner node is having frequency as 14, so 14 will come after 13. So I will write initially C with the frequency 12 and D with the frequency 13, then comes the inner node with the frequency 14, then comes E with the frequency 16, then comes F with the frequency 45. Okay, so now this is your new table. Now this is the first step. After the first step you are going to get this table. Now once again let us go for the next two things, next two smallest characters, that is C and D, which is having 12 and 13 as the frequency. So I will write 12 and 13 over here. C which is having 12 and D which is having 13 as the frequency. I am going to add it. I will get an inner node with the 25 as the uh, frequency. Now my new table will be, I need to avoid C and D now. I got inner node with the value 25. So where I need to include it after this, right? So I will write my new table as inner node 14, then comes E16, then comes the new inner node, that is 25, then comes F which is having 45 as the frequency. Now once again let us go for the next step, where you are going to select the smallest two things. One is inner node 14 and E16. So inner node 14 is over here, right? So let us start with inner node 14, and we have one more key, one more character as E16. So I need to write that E16 over here, E16, and we are going to club these together. Now we are going to get one more inner node with the 30 as the frequency, right? So now I got one more inner node with the 30 as the frequency. So I will write my table once again. I need to eliminate these two now. So I need to start with the inner node 25, then comes inner node 30, then comes F45. This is my new table. Now inner node 25 and inner node 30 I need to select, right? So obviously inner node 25 comes before inner node 30. So I will write my tree structures, tree structure once again. So inner node 25 is nothing but this particular section. So I will write it first, C12 D13, then you will get inner node of 25, right? And then I need inner node 30. So that is nothing but the whole section you need to write as inner node 30. So how can I write that? So I need inner node 30 over here because I want to add these two. So I need it in the same level. So here this is inner node 14. We have node 14 and E16 as the children of inner node 30, and once again this is having A15, I mean A5, so this is having A5 and once again B9, right? So now I am going to connect these two. I am going to get it as one more inner node with the value for 55. Sorry, I need to get one more inner node value 55, right? So this is my tree structure now. Now I need to rewrite my table. So F45 is pending and inner node 55 I have. So this is my new table. I will select these two now, F45 and inner node 55. F45 comes before inner node 55, so I need to write it in the left side. So I will write it here, F45. Then I am going to connect these two. I will get one more inner node with the 100 as the value. So this is my Huffman tree. This is my Huffman tree. This is how we are going to build the Huffman tree. So I'll repeat the steps. The first thing you need to do is, if a table is given with frequency, if the frequency is not in the ascending order, you need to sort it. Now in our example, we have already the sorted list, so no need of doing the first step. Let us go for the second step. In the second step, you need to select the first two smallest character, and then you need to build the Huffman tree by adding the first two frequency, and you are going to get the inner node. Okay, in the similar way you connect it to the other nodes and you are going to get the Huffman tree at the end. Now what is the use of this Huffman tree? Now if you build the Huffman tree, then you are going to get the encoded form. Okay, whatever data you have, whatever frequency, these are nothing but the characters and frequency you have. From this you are going to build the Huffman tree, and then you are going to encode the data characters. When you are going to encode the character, you are going to get the encoded format for all these characters. How we can do it? So this is nothing but this tree is nothing but whatever we have solved in the previous example. Okay, so you have F45, C12, D13, A5, B9, all those characters whichever you have over here. Okay, so what I am going to do is, whenever we have we will be having only two branches, because we are going to construct Huffman tree is a example for binary tree. So you will be having only two children over here. So when we are going for codes encoding technique, what we are going to do is, we will start from the root. Now for the left, whenever we are moving to the left child, we write 0 to the array. Whenever we are moving to the right child, we write 1 to the array. and print the array when the leaf node is encountered. When the leaf node is encountered, that means in the leaf node obviously you will be having your characters. All the characters will be there in the leaf node. So when we encounter the leaf node, that means you are going to get the encoded format, okay, of that particular character. Now let us write encoded format for each and every characters whatever we have, that is A, B, C, D, E and F. So A. Now first let us go for A. A is over here, right? We have A here. So let us start from the root. It is there in the right side of root. So I will encode 1. Then once again it is in the right side of 55. I will be writing it as 1. Once again it is in the left side of 30. So I will write it as 0. Then it is in the left side of 14. So I will write as 0. So this is the encoded format for A. Now let us go for encoded format for B. How can we start? So starting from here, 1, 1, 0, 1. So 1, 1, 0, 1 is the encoded format for B. What about C? It is 1, 0, 0. 1, 0, 0 is the encoded format for C, and 1, 0, 1 is nothing but the encoded format for D. And if you consider E, that is 1, 1, 1. What about F? It is just 0 is the encoded format for F. So this is what we are going to get from the Huffman tree. The encoded format for each and every character we are going to get. That is nothing but Morse code. Now the next step, compression technique we have is irreversible compression technique. So for example, if you are going for paint option in your system, then what will happen is when you are going to open your image in paint and reduce the size, if suppose you have 400 by 400 pixel values for your image, then if you are reduced it by 100 to 100, then what will happen is that, and if you save, close, once again you open and see, the image will be very small, right? The size of the image file will be very small. Once again you make it to 400 by 400. What will happen? You will not get the clear image. You will get a blurred image, isn't it? You will get a blurred image. So that type of technique we are calling it as irreversible compression technique. So when we are going for irreversible compression technique, the data will be lost. You will not get it back. So that type of compression technique, we call it, size will be reduced, but you will lose some data. You will lose some bits. Okay. So that type of technique we call it as irreversible compression technique, where we will not preserve all the information whichever is there in the original data. Okay. Now the fifth technique we have is compression in Unix. So in Unix we have several routines. So we have both Berkeley and System 5 Unix provides compression routines that are heavily used and quite effective. So in System 5 it is having routines called as pack and unpack, which uses Huffman code on a byte by byte basis. Okay. In Berkeley Unix, it is having routines such as compress and uncompress, which behave almost the same as pack and unpack. So that are the compression techniques we have in Unix. And these are the several methods you have in the data compression technique, and that are mostly used for compressing the bigger files, and we are going to get the smaller files. So this is about the data compression. Let us meet in the next session. Thank you.